and go to the AWS console. So today we'll conduct an experiment related to virtual private clouds. So we'll go to service. We'll go to network and content delivery. In this, we'll choose virtual private cloud. So if you look at this, this is the console of virtual private cloud. We can see here that what is the current status. It is already showing here. It is showing that there is one virtual private cloud, which is in North Virginia region. It shows that there are 6 subnets which are present. There is one routing table, one route table, one internet gateway, and similarly one ACL and security groups. So if you look at this, this is your default virtual private cloud, which is already associated with the account. If we do not create our own virtual private cloud, but we want that our virtual instance or the virtual machine should be routed through a virtual private cloud, and if so, then it will. So this is the main virtual private cloud. That is the default. If we do not specifically or explicitly specify another virtual private cloud, it will be done through this. So there are 2 ways to launch a virtual private cloud. One is through this wizard, which is launch VPC wizard. Another is, you can go to your virtual private clouds from here, and you can create a VPC. But in this, then and you can you can create a routing table. You can create subnets, individual subnets, create the routing tables, associate some of the subnets which you want to be public subnets with the internet gateway, and so on. Right. So that means you can configure this independently. Today we'll explore how to launch a virtual private cloud through VPC wizard. So we'll say launch VPC wizard. So if you look at this, there are 4 configurations here: VPC with a single public subnet, a VPC with a public and a private subnet. So what is a private subnet? So it is that you have certain, you have a subnet which is not directly connected to the internet gateway, but these IP addresses, these group of IP addresses which are given to certain devices can be connected to net, but that will be through the public subnet. So they'll be NATed together. So public and private subnet will be NAT. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Here is the diagram here. So if you see, this is the public subnet. This is the private subnet. To be connected to internet, these private subnet and public subnet, they'll be NATed together, and they can connect to internet via this public subnet. So this is a more interesting case. Next, you have these 2 cases we'll not explore. This is VPC with public and private subnet and hardware VPN access. So this is when both these are the cases when the data center is at the premises. So this is the configuration. This configuration adds IP sec VPN connection between Amazon VPC and your data center. But so this case, we'll be exploring this case, VPC with public and private subnet. It's a more interesting case. So let us select this. So let us look at what is CIDR first. So this is classless interdomain routing. So let us say that we have an IP address which is 10.0.0.0 slash 26. Okay, so what is this address? I'm using this 10.0.0.0 because there are 3 IP addresses which are given, which are unlicensed. Anybody can use them, right? So that is, and 10.0.0.0 is one of them. That is why we are utilizing this in VPC. So if I write like this, that 10.0.0.0 slash 26, this means that, so if you look at this, each of this, so this is 32 minus 26, right? So this will be equal to 2 raised to, this will be equal to 6, and then you will have 2 raised to 6 possible subnets, right? Which is equal to 64, which is equal to 64. That means these many addresses, IP addresses will be there. So if you look at this now, what if I want to do is I want to create. So I'll have a network where the host address is last 6 bits. The earlier, that means the rest of the bits will be network, will identify network ID. These 6 bits will identify host ID. If I have only 6 bits for host ID, the number of possible host IDs which I can have is 2 raised to 6, that is 64. If I want to create subnets, right? Let us say I want to create 4 subnets. So let us say I want to create 4 subnets. So if you want to create 4 subnets, the address which will be there will be 10.0.0. And I'll say, let us say I want to create subnets equal 4 subnets. So each will have 16 IDs. So 10.0.0.15. This will be my first subnet. Similarly, my second subnet will be from 16 to 31. The next subnet will be from 32 to 47. And the last subnet will be from 48 to 63. Right. Now, how to express this in this form, in CIDR form? If you look at this, we have just 16 addresses here, right? So for 16 addresses, this will be 2 raised to 4. So I can express this as 10.0.0.0 slash 28. Why 28? Because 32 minus 28 will be 4, and then it will give me 2 raised to 4, which is, so this gives me 2 raised to 4, which are 16 addresses. So that means 16 addresses starting from 0. So that will indicate this block. Similarly, the next one, the next will be 10.0.0.16/28. The next will be 10.0.0. It will start from 32/28. And finally, the last subnet address will be 10.0.0.48/28. Right. So this is how we had a IP address, a block of IP address, which we have divided into 4 subnets. Right. Let us proceed and let us see what are the IP addresses which are mentioned in this VPC. So if you look at this IPv4 CIDR block, this is 10.0.0/16. So 2 raised to 16 will be 65,531 IP addresses. Right. So in this, and no IPv6 addresses, and let us give it a name. So I'll give it a name, Friday Lab. You can give any name which you like. Then what they have done is they have created a public subnet and a private subnet. What is the difference between public and private subnet? Public subnet will be connected to the internet gateway, whereas private subnet would not be connected to an internet gateway. Right. So if you look at this now, this number will obviously be less than this, because these addresses have to be a subset of this address. So they have here taken this as 10.0.0.0./24. Right. So how much that comes out to be? How much will that be? This will be 32 minus 24.
Minus 24. Yes,
that will be 2 raised to. How many addresses should be there?
2 raised to power 8 हो जाएगा ना मैम वो.
तो कितने addresses आने चाहिए?
256
addresses.
Yeah, ma'am.
But what is mentioned here is 251 IP addresses. Right. So there are 5 IP addresses less compared to this. So why 5 less? Because whenever you create a subnet, 5 IP addresses are reserved, first 4 and the last one. Right. So they are reserved for internal usage. So whenever you create a subnet, 5 will always be reserved. So you will not have 256 addresses to allocate to the devices in that particular subnet. You will have so whatever 2 raised to so depending on whatever this is, so you will have 5 less IP addresses. Right. Similarly, here also this is /24 251. You can always create subnets. So they have not divided this into 2. They are using only some part of IP addresses, which can be done. Right. So we don't have to do any setting here. We have understood how these settings have been done. Then it says, okay, so then in this we have next is this elastic IP allocation ID. So these IDs are there if you have a specific IP address which is specifically associated to your account, then right. If that is there, then that has to be given here. Otherwise, we can also use a NAT instance instead. So if you do this, if you use a NAT instance, an EC2 instance will be created in your account, right? So let us try to do this. So it's a T2 nano, and this will be created on its own. But while deleting this VPC, you will not be able to delete this. You'll have to first go to your EC2 account. You'll have to delete this, but you'll have to terminate this instance. Only then you'll be able to delete this VPC. Then here hardware tendency we'll take as default, not dedicated, right? So default hardware tendency is there, and then we'll say create VPC. If you see, it is creating routing tables, it is creating subnets, it is creating internet gateways and attaching the public subnet to that. Now it is running NAT instance so that the private addresses are NATed to the public ones. So now it is adding root to the table. So it is doing everything here on its own, and it has said that your VPC has been successfully created. In case you would have gone via this way to create your virtual private cloud, you would have to create all the steps which it just did on its own would have to be done from here. Right, all these steps which it said, NAT gateway, everything would have to be internet gateway. You'd have to associate the subnet specifically. Everything would have to be done from this part. So this says that this has been done. So let us go to the dashboard. Now we have 2 VPCs. We have 8 subnets. Why 8 subnets? We have created 2 subnets. 6 were already there. 6 were main subnets. Main means default subnets. We have created 2. One is public, one is private. And similarly, routing tables have also increased. And if you look at this, so all these values have now changed. So let us check the VPCs. Let me refresh this. Yeah, now it is showing. So I have refreshed this and this is now showing this Friday Lab. This is the VPC which we have just created. If you see here, this is default VPC, the one which was already present. This one which we have created says it is not default. No, it says no under this default VPC. Please do not delete this, which is your main VPC. Once if you delete this, you will not be able to get it back. So let us check our VPC. If you look at, okay, fine, let's go to the root table. If you go to the root table, you'll see here that this is associated. I'll cross this. So these are the root tables which are present here. This one is for our particular VPC which we have created. These main says if main is yes, that means it is default. No means one which we have created, right? So if you look at this, these are the ones which we have created right now, and it has explicit subnet association. So this is saying that this subnet is associated to it. If you want to create or one more root table to associate, either, so you want to change the root table, that can also be done. So let us say create root table. So give it a name. So let us say I want root 1. Then I'll select the VPC, which is Friday Lab, and I'll say create. So it says the following root table was created. So if I have 2 or 3 VPCs, that means I can change from the settings the root table. So this is the root table. Again, if you see, this is not the main root table. It says no. So for whatever you will create, apart from what is in default here, in main, it will say no for that. You can, from here, you can also go ahead and do explicit subnet associations for a particular route, right? So if you have 4 subnets, you want to associate each of these 4 subnets with different routes, that can be done, right? So but there you'll have to go in for subnet association. You'll have to edit subnet association, and from here you can change that so this, if you look at this private subnet, currently the root table is main. This subnet, public subnet, which we had created, the root table is this. So we had created 2 subnets. We are only checking those. So this is main. So if I want, I will be able to modify this, right? So all these settings can be done. If we would have gone through, if you can also do this. If you want to create a VPC from scratch, it could have been done from creating a VPC, making subnets, attaching them, creating root tables from them for them, attaching the public one to the internet gateway, and also, so all of these steps would have to be done manually. But what this in this we have this VPC wizard, which is an easier way to set up the virtual private clouds. Right. So what we have done is we have brought up now a virtual private cloud. You can explore a little more if you want to from these. Right. Please remember to terminate this particular virtual private cloud before finishing the experiment. If you will try to delete this VPC, you will not be able to delete this VPC. It says unable to delete. This is because in Elastic ID we have created a NAT instance. So what will we do? We'll go to services. We'll go to EC2. If you see that there's a running instance here, so we will terminate this instance. So this instance is, it's showing running. Let us refresh this. Yeah, it is shutting down. So it is terminated. Now let us go to VPC. And now we'll try to delete this VPC. So what it says is it is deleting the VPC. Along with that, it is deleting all these resources, subnets which I had created, the root which I had created, it will delete everything. So that's okay. We want to do that. So delete. And now it is back to the default state.